There was a lot of hate when I first joined the show. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but like...
Nah.
No. But I like, we both knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
So...
That was like the first thing I said to you, I think.
Yeah, you were like, have you ever been hated on by a large number of people for a long period of time? And I was like, actually, yes. I have been making internet videos for a while.
On July 18th, 2012, a Let's Play channel acting as a collaboration between friends and fellow YouTubers was formed. Quickly, that channel managed to foster its own devoted community, and within a year, inadvertently turned that community against itself. This is the story of a sudden change that surprised the internet and left a fan base divided. This is the story of a YouTube channel of two guys playing video games that became the subject of more conspiracy theories than any other YouTube channel could even dream of. This is the story of the birth and transformation of the Game Grumps. The story begins with a man named Jon.
Jon, can I play too?
Oh, Jacques, you can't play. You don't have hands!
Mainly being influenced by the angry video game nerd, Jon Jafari decided to start a game channel of his own by the name of JonTron Show. The first review on the channel was of the generally disliked game Daikatana. In it, Jon portrays himself sort of in the same vein as the angry video game nerd, minus the excessive language, while being very descriptive in the game's backstory, and deadpan in his snarky remarks.
So then comes the lovely gaming sin of backtracking out of desperation. Now, may I remind you,
this is the first 3 minutes of the game.
things like this can never be a harbinger of good things to come. So, after consulting the internet, I found that you actually can crouch. Oh, look at that, isn't it cute?
One of the things that let him stand out from the AVGN knockoffs was his pet bird Jacques, who acted as a sort of sidekick.
Hurry the fuck up, or I will be forced to poop and eat.
This is Jacques. But I suppose he's right. We should get to the feature presentation.
After Daikatana, Jon was able to loosen up and develop his own style, favoring more absurd humor over a genuine and sincere game review. The first big example of this being his review of the obscure Super Nintendo game Dino City.
Oh, look, it's the king of Dino City. More like the king of fucking around. Look at this guy. He doesn't even consider us a threat. He's got his hands in his freaking pockets. You know what? I respect this dino. He couldn't give a shit about 2 corn cobs. In fact, he's so sly and handsome that he even changes his jackets mid-fight. How much less of a shit could you give about your life? That's like if Bowser was like, "Oh, Mario, you got me. Here's a new tie. You like it? I don't give a shit. Here's some bowling balls."
It would only be a matter of time until this video in particular caught the attention of someone more prominent in the internet community.
Today we will explore the life of one of our greatest heroes of the past, Optimus Prime, okay? I am Optimus! I am the protector of the world from the Decepticons! Damn, I'm good! Look at
Going by the name of Egoraptor, Arin Hansen gained popularity on Newgrounds after uploading an animated parody of the game series Metal Gear Solid, creatively titled Metal Gear Awesome.
Shut up, for Christ's sake! I know how to climb a ladder! Jesus, ow, my ear!
Sorry, bruh.
Thanks, Jesus.
It's cool.
It was videos like this that launched Egoraptor to become the #1 user on Newgrounds. Arin would continue to create animated videos parodying games and anime on Newgrounds before transitioning over to focus on YouTube. It was around this time that Arin caught wind of a certain game review that was gaining traction.
I released the Dino City video. Somebody put it on Reddit and it hit #1 on Reddit. So Arin saw my video and he subscribed to me. And I'd been a fan of him since I was like 15, so fucking freaked out. I sent him a message. You actually sent me a message. I didn't get it and I didn't know that till much later. When I went back and looked through my messages, and I messaged you, and then you were like, yo, let's, I think you said, let's come down, let's drink Dr. Pepper, play Choo Choo Rocket, and high five a lot.
Oh, and cookies.
No, Cookies wasn't part of it. You just made Cookies.
Oh, okay.
And then I came over and it was really fucking weird and we played Link to the Past.
Yeah. That was a good day.
It was.
The chemistry between Jon and Arin eventually gave them the idea to start a little side project.
Wow! I certainly love to play video games.
Wow, me too. I also love to watch you play them and then have it filmed and shown for our audience at home.
What a coincidence!
Welcome to Game Grumps, where we do that.
KTLA 5!
And with that, Game Grumps was born. As Arin had just said, the channel was centered around just two guys playing video games and recording it, and the focus was aimed more at the personalities of the Grumps rather than actually being good at the game itself. For better or for worse. Of course, they weren't the first personality-focused Let's Play channel, but for many, there was something special about the Game Grumps. Whether it be their random jokes.
It's funny, actually. I might fuck up because I'm not sure if I remember how to.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if I remember.
How about that business?
I'm giving you a disclaimer that if I fuck up, oopsie doops.
Oh, man.
But I'm gonna try to do it.
Maybe I should have had that disclaimer on mine. Disclaimer, Aaron's a joke.
Their laughing fits.
Oh,
Oh no. Oh, here he comes. Oh no!
Or the occasional rage-filled outburst from Arin.
I just wanted to know how to land on the platform! That's all I wanted to know! You know how to do it, but you won't tell me! And that makes me lose automatically because I'm losing time!
Don't know, it's fucking Nickelodeon Guts on SNES!
Oh! Oh, okay! Well, that makes it okay then! Let's keep playing!
Jon and Arin were also never afraid of pulling back the curtain when it came to making the videos. Usually that manifested in them constantly calling out their editor, Barry.
Yes, you opened a door, thank God.
Barry?
Woo!
Barry!
Barry.
Gonna have to hear that 4 times in a row.
Please, just loop that shit.
No matter what it was, whenever their little animated intro would play.
Hey, I'm Grumps. I'm not so Grump. And we're the Game Grumps.
It felt like a guarantee that we were in for a good time. As the channel grew, the Grumps started getting messages from fans, or lovelies as they came to be known, regarding how much the show has impacted them.
You know what's the compliment that we get about, or like, you know, fan mail or whatever, that makes me the happiest every time I see it?
What's that?
It's the one that, it's just when people are like, fucking, whenever my day sucks, I watch Game Grumps and it's better, and I'm like, there's a reason to do this.
Yeah.
For many of the viewers, myself included, Game Grumps was more than just watching two guys play video games. It was a way to relieve stress and feel better about stuff. And maybe end up crying from laughter because Jon sprayed a bunch of compressed air for no reason and this happened.
Stop.
At the exact same moment as you! I was like, am I dying? Okay, so...
Stop blowing that.
I'm not blowing it anymore! Okay, to explain...
It's in the back of my throat.
Oh god, that was vomited. The raptor has left the building. Oh my god!
And it wasn't just gameplay videos that the Game Grumps produced. When the time eventually came to sell merchandise, rather than just put it as a little blurb at the end of a video, they went out of their way to make little skits around the merch, in videos that are still looked back on fondly despite the merch itself not being sold anymore.
Hey Arin,
What do you need?
we got this new...
Shut up!
Why?
Because I'm painting a new Egoraptor cartoon, idiot!
Well, you better save that shit as a .fla for later, because we got a ship to sink.
Excuse me!
For a limited time only, or in lawyer speak, 1 week, you can purchase our very first Game Grumps t-shirt.
Count me out.
And a little while earlier, Arin, being the animator that he is, decided to take a bit of audio of them playing Pokemon Emerald and animated it, giving it the title of Game Grumps Animated.
Oh shit, they're in the bush.
I bet there's secret ones up here.
Okay, look, that's
Look,
a go-go.
It's a fucking Wingull.
Oh, I like Wingull. It's a water bird.
It's a water bird.
Hey, you wanna play a little? I gotta drink like this.
Make sure you drink your this. Why are we fucking... Why is Zigzagoon out first?
Why'd you fucking run?
Why are we playing with Zigzagoon?
Why'd you run? Wingull's only the rarest Pokemon. I want Wingull.
And this was inspiration for the lovelies to start making Game Grumps animateds of their own. The Game Grumps community was, and still is, extremely devoted to showing their love for the Grumps in remixes, fan art, and the previously aforementioned animations. And of course, that devotion carried over to watching the sometimes lengthy series of gameplays the Grumps would put out. The biggest example at the time being their playthrough of 2006's Sonic the Hedgehog, more colloquially known as Sonic 06, a game infamously known for its unfinished state and endless supply of glitches, one of which resulting in what is still referred to as one of the greatest moments in all of Game Grumps, and has itself received multiple animations.
Let's just go ahead and truck it back to look how silly this is.
Are they gone?
You have to like do. Oh. Okay. Arin, don't leave. Arin, don't. Arin! I love you!
No, I'm fucking done! I'm fucking done!
No, you're not!
This is bullshit!
I'm gonna go.
This is fucking bullshit!
I can't get off!
What is this?
I can't get off!
What is this?
I'm stuck!
What is my life? I can't do it, John!
I can't either!
I can't fucking do it anymore!
I'll tell you what, Arin! You can give up now, or you can figure it out, because I certainly can't do it without you, and I know you can't do it without me.
I appreciate it, but look what we're dealing with, man!
Arin!
You gotta draw the line somewhere!
Arin, we
gotta draw a fucking line in the sand, dude!
Arin,
you gotta make a statement! You gotta look inside yourself and say, what am I willing to put up with today? Not fucking this!
I'm Superman! I believe I can fly! I believe I can touch. Arin, that was a beautiful little moment we just had. I think both of us got a little heated, and maybe we should apologize to each other.
It's because we're in a lava stage, dude.
Moments like that were what made Game Grumps. With the channel only less than a year old, and having just reached 1 million subscribers, the Game Grumps seemed unstoppable, and the lovelies felt as if Jon and Arin were going to do this together for years to come.
You know, some days, you just gotta get up. You gotta get up in the morning and take inventory on yourself and realize I can't be sitting here playing video games every day. I gotta be a man. I gotta be a bigger man. I gotta make a slightly more complicated show about playing video games. So that's it. That's right, guys. Thanks for being here for this year of Game Grumps.
On June 25th, 2013, Game Grumps put out a video entitled Ode to Jon, where Jon announced that he was going to be leaving Game Grumps to put more focus on his own channel.
Okay, so I want to make like, you know, like a season 2 of JonTron, because as far as I know there's no seasons on YouTube, but you know, like mentally, season 2. And if it's not JonTron, which is probably going to be JonTron, it's going to be something else. But I want to put my full focus into something.
Unsurprisingly, this was a shock for many of the lovelies, since outside of Jon saying he wanted to make more videos for his channel, there was no clear sign of Jon even considering outright leaving the show. Of course, him leaving left one glaring question in everyone's mind. Who would replace Jon?
I'm gonna miss him so much. Who on earth am I gonna be playing games with now?
You Piccadilly whore! What?
Going by the stage name of Danny Sexbang, Dan Avidan and his bandmate Brian Wecht, aka Ninja Brian, formed a Ninja Sex Party, with their first song entitled I Just Wanna Dance. Heavily influenced by comedy bands like The Lonely Island and Flight of the Conchords, NSP cemented its style in synth-heavy songs about unicorns and seduction. Before reaching those heights, however, NSP received a message from Arin.
I remember it very clearly. We got a message. It was early on in our career, and we got a message from you, and you were super humble, and you were like, I've got an okay channel. I like what you guys do. If you want to check out what I do, go ahead. And we're like, hell yeah, man. And so we looked at it, and it had like 250 million somethings, and I was like, what? That can happen? It was funny too, because like it was a very flattering email, and I think you said like, if you're ever in LA, like just let me know, and I'll show you around. And normally I would be like, no, like we're not hanging out, but like there was something really cool about your letter, and like I was just like, I just happened to be going to LA like I think 2 weeks later, so we went and got sushi together, and then like you dropped me off at my uncle's house, and I was like, I made a new friend.
It was through this pairing that Arin ended up animating for NSP's music video for Dinosaur Laser Fight. And before Game Grumps even started, Arin, Dan, and Brian started forming the idea for what would eventually become the supergroup known as Starbomb. And during one night of Arin and Dan bouncing song ideas off each other, Arin came to a realization.
We were coming up with titles and we were all giggly. But the cool thing about that night is, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I've told a couple other people this, is that's the night where I knew that if like Jon ever got sick or like wanted to leave the show or anything, I was gonna like be like, hey Dan, you should be on the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little did he know that would happen sooner than he thought. And when it came time for Jon to leave the show, Arin knew exactly who to turn to. But just because Arin knew that Dan would do well didn't mean everyone else did. The announcement of Jon's departure left many of the lovelies shocked and confused. This all felt so sudden to them. Just the day before, Jon and Arin were goofing around and having fun. The very next day, they announced that Jon's leaving and that he's being replaced. Add this to the announcement of a second show on Game Grumps called Steam Train, featuring Dan and animator Ross O'Donovan, aka Rubber Ninja, where they would play PC games. The response to all this was so intense that the moderators of the Game Grumps subreddit had to put it on lockdown for a while. Many of the lovelies felt betrayed by the Grumps. They felt like they were being pranked, that Jon leaving had to be a joke. They wanted it to be a joke. Once it finally set in that this was really happening, their denial turned to rage. And a lot of it was aimed at Dan. They didn't like that some comedy musician they likely hadn't heard of was replacing Jon. They said that he didn't deserve to be in Jon's place. They didn't like that someone else was in the intro.
Hey, I'm Grumps. I'm not so Grump. And we're the Game Grumps.
It just didn't feel right to them. Fortunately for Dan, he had plenty of experience with this kind of backlash, so he was very much prepared for all the hate.
I've been putting out videos with Ninja Sex Party for years, and I had also been a host on another show for Mondo at one point. So I was so used to internet hate that it didn't even faze me.
It's pretty overwhelming though.
Yeah, but when you first asked me to be on the show, just knowing how the internet feels about change, I think I said to you, I was like, I'm going to be the most hated person on the internet.
And then I was like, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, you will.
The response to Steam Train was not very kind either. For some, it felt like it should have been its own channel, rather than tie itself to Game Grumps. For others, they just didn't like it. The dislikes on the new Game Grumps and Steam Train videos were insanely high, especially when compared to a video from just the day before. Most of the dislikes weren't so much because the viewers didn't think they were good, but because they were different. One major sticking point for a lot of the lovelies, however, was the fact that Jon and Arin weren't going to finish Sonic 06. The series was fairly close to the end and had reached 108 episodes, but because Jon was no longer a part of Game Grumps, it wouldn't get a proper conclusion. Eventually, some wondered if Dan and Arin were going to finish the series, but that wasn't the case.
So the question is, will we be finishing Sonic 06?
Right.
The answer is, it just wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, no.
Plus, I don't want to subject Dan to that craziness.
It's very well. I did watch the episodes,
oh, really?
so yeah, I know the horror. But yeah, no, it wouldn't feel right. I wasn't there for the journey.
Plus,
so
there's not much left in the game.
Yeah,
it's kind of already been said, which is this game is bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many more ways you can say it. It's just like this game sucks. This game is bad. Oh, look at that. That sucks. I don't know. There's nowhere to go at that point.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll let that one lie.
Because of this, the series, much like the game itself, would be left unfinished. That's not to say there weren't people that were optimistic about the change. Some were looking forward to seeing what Jon would do next and were interested to see if Dan could hold his own as the new Not-So-Grump. Others couldn't take all the changes. There were a large number of comments saying that they were unsubscribing and that they refused to watch the new videos. And for many, it felt like Game Grumps was coming to an end. Eventually, certain lovelies began to speculate that there was more to the split than what had been said. When Dan started on Game Grumps, they never mentioned Jon, and the lovelies wanted to know why.
There was a rift that was drawn because people liked Jon and he left, and it was just sort of, people felt like it was unclear on why, and then people started taking sides, and I was painted more often than not as the bad guy because we were like, oh, let's make, we want people to think like Jon's an artist, like he wanted to go on and do his own thing, and that's what happened, so we were painted as like, oh, all they care about is business. So that was like, sort of the popular opinion of after that happened, which is like, whatever, I wasn't gonna be like, no guys, because that just makes it worse. So I was just like, I'm just gonna keep making the show, and if people want to watch, that's fine. I don't want to be like, no guys, I'm trying to do my best. People were like, yeah, that's what somebody who is the businessman would say in this situation. It's like, you can't win in that situation.
Not long after, a subreddit devoted to conspiracy theories specifically on the Game Grumps was started, with theories saying that something more had happened between Jon and Arin. A decent portion of it stemming from a possible confrontation between Jon and Arin during E3 of 2013. Resulting in the Grumps uploading less videos and only a week or so later, Jon leaving. The reasons for the hypothetical confrontation vary from theory to theory, and it's been debated to such a nauseating degree that I originally didn't even want to talk about it in the first place. Other theories, however, didn't want to stop at Jon leaving. They got more personal. How did Jon and Arin treat each other when they weren't recording? Was the relationship abusive? And how did Dan really tie into all this? Theorists felt there was a serious dark side behind the cheery orange and blue exterior, and they weren't going to stop until they found out what it was. But I can't stand that kind of stuff. I think theories like that, without any proper evidence, are very intrusive and unnecessarily put everyone involved in a bad light. But that's not going to stop me from talking about one of the most outlandish theories born out of all this speculation. And it all starts with Jon, Dan, and a box of cheese nips. Okay, so here's what happened. MagFest 2014. JonTron and the Game Grumps both have panels at the convention, with Jon's panel going first. During the panel, a fan gifted Jon a box of cheese nips.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Keep childhood alive. I agree. We should put more funding into child hospitals. Keep childhood alive!
Then later, during the Game Grumps panel, while Arin is describing the process of making Game Grumps videos, Dan's focus seemed to drift to something off stage.
Well, it's been kind of freeform lately because of all the events and shit we've been going to. So
dude, they got cheese nips back here. Excuse me.
So I'd say I don't know. You doing okay?
Am I not allowed to eat these? Are these someone else's nips?
Whoa! He's got a little image coming out.
That was a tasty nip.
It was earth-shattering. Clearly, this is a move against Jon by Dan, and eating his cheese nips was Dan's way of saying that what was once Jon's is now his. Nah, Dan just wanted some nips.
And I just saw a box of cheese nips there, and I was like, oh, sweet cheese nips. And people were like, like everyone's going crazy, and I don't know why. But like, when you're up there, you can't make out what people are saying. Like, you can hear one voice, but when everyone's yelling at once, it just sounds like this garbled mess.
Yeah.
So like, everybody's like, those are Jon's! And I'm like, what? Who? Like, what do you... And so like, I eat one, and people are like, oh my God! It's so ridiculous. It's so funny. Then when I finally like heard what they were saying, like after it calmed down, when it calmed down, I was like, oh, all right, I'll save him for him. And they were like, he's gonna see him later. It's like, it's fucking reading way too much into everything.
But all the conspiracies couldn't shy away from a revelation the Lovelies had long before that fateful nip. Dan is pretty funny.
And now I'm just standing here with my hand on my suspenders like, well, this is a fine pickle.
Oh my God, I never noticed that.
Oh, totally.
It totally has like the mayor, like,
yeah.
A fine day for mayoring.
If I do say so myself. Oh, death approaches.
Once the rage storm had cleared away, people got to see how Dan would fare out as a grump. At first, his focus was on making sure he was good enough, but it wouldn't be long until he finally came into his own. And with this new era of Game Grumps came its own fair share of random jokes.
Those things kind of look Star Warsy, those spinning...
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, I like them.
I like them too.
Yeah.
I like you, Dan.
I like Star Wars. I hope I'm not breaking any new ground.
I'm having this moment with you, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
I like you, Dan. I like Star Wars.
That's like what would happen like in my early days of dating. A girl would be like, I'm so glad we could be here together. And I'd be like, you know what? Lucky Charms are delicious. I just have trouble concentrating.
Have you ever had them?
When I wasn't sure when they introduced red balloons at first, but now I'm into it.
I wasn't familiar with the concept.
And then they brought in rainbows, and I was like, these are a lot of new marshmallows. Meanwhile, the girl's like been gone for 30 minutes.
Laughing fits. Mickey Mouse. First of all. And once again, the occasional rage-filled outburst from Arin.
Everything that I've ever accomplished in life has led to this exact moment. It has everything to do with all of the accomplishments that have ever happened in my life.
Oh, Jesus. It's...
Come on! Are you fucking serious, dude?
Oh, please just say...
fucking take the lore! Just take it!
Just say hit.
What?
Also, not unlike Jon, Dan was never afraid of a little musical improvisation.
All right.
Punishing game.
Yeah, give me a fucking beat. Taking another stab at my underwater song. Gonna come up for air, cause I can't breathe for too long. Underneath the water, underneath the water, underneath the water, underneath the water, underneath the water. Yeah. Cut the beat. I need to breathe.
One big difference between Jon and Dan, though, was that Dan was far more open about his personal life, including his family and his being a former pothead. The story that seemed to have resonated with people the most was during their playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, where Dan opened up about his past with OCD and depression.
There was a period, I almost failed out of school because of it, because I couldn't go to my classes. Like, I didn't really leave like my apartment for maybe like 5 months, something like that. And I'll never forget, dude. Like it was the weirdest thing. Like I was at my friend Adam's house, and I was sitting on the computer, And I said something, and he was like, dude, just stop obsessing about that shit. And it was just one of those weird, like, unconscious, like, things. And I just randomly typed in obsession into, like, Google search terms or whatever. And all these pages on obsessive compulsive disorder came up. And, like, I started reading about it, and I just, like, fucking immediately started crying. Because, like, I was like, oh my god, I'm not fucking crazy.
Shortly after that episode was released, Dan received a large number of messages from lovelies who related to Dan's story, and were touched that someone like him would be so open about something like that.
I've been getting a lot of your letters lately after what I shared in the 19th episode of Wind Waker, and there's just too many for me to read and respond to. It's just been like an amazing flood of stuff, and I just wanted to say how grateful I am. Please don't take it personally if I can't respond to all of them, because I've tried to do as many as I can, but I'm very moved that me sharing my story had a cool effect on a lot of you, and that it meant something to you, because it meant something to me to share it with you, so that was very cool.
With Dan having been welcomed into the Grumps community, that still left many of the lovelies to wonder, what about Jon?
And they said Kratos was the best hero. Shush, they got it wrong, sister. Hercules is clearly better. He even has a coconut weapon.
On September 24th, 2013, after several months of nothing and a little state of affairs video, JonTron returned with a video revolving around games about Hercules.
Who ever heard of a game being on a cassette tape? Let's boot it up, ladies and gentlemen.
This was a return to form for Jon, while also allowing him to branch out with other types of videos. On one hand, he still did gaming-focused videos like videos on bootleg Pokemon games and games based on the Home Alone franchise.
I really have no idea why I'm supposed to do this. I can't figure it out. If you can't figure out how to play Home Alone 1 on the SNES right away, what? It's bad! It's redo the game, throw it out, redo the fucking game!
On the other hand, he also started doing videos centered around TV shows and movies, the first of which being a two-part series talking about the 90s TV show Goosebumps.
They come to an agreement and hatch a plan to stop the ghost of Harrison Sadler once and for all. What's their plan, you ask? Okay, you ready for this? To use rocks to trap the ghost!
Seal him up in his cave with rocks. Rocks? Trap the ghost.
The relative mystery surrounding JonTron and the Game Grumps was obviously still present in the minds of Jon's viewers, but it hardly ever got in the way of enjoying Jon's new content.
But perhaps it's a bit too open-ended. Where am I supposed to go? The bank? The culture club? Grilled Mormons? Oh, what's going on? I didn't know it was alright to eat those guys. I better should check the Brobo. Make sure that's okay.
Jon's branching out didn't stop with 90s horror-based TV shows aimed at kids, because a while later, Jon announced a series called Starcade, a video series where Jon would talk about the plethora of Star Wars games, and on the last episode talked about the infamously terrible Star Wars Holiday Special.
I thought you might like this. It's one of those, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a,
Go on. I'll wait.
Wow. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, I don't know what you mean by that, but from the way you said it, it sounds like you gave their grandpa porn. I really don't want to believe you gave their grandpa porn.
I am your fantasy.
You gave the man porn?! His family is like right in the other room. You come into the man's house on fucking Christmas, you set up interspecies VR porn in his living room! Is this real? Is this a waking nightmare?
And since the series is one big Star Wars reference, it ended with JonTron fighting against Darth Vader and the Emperor. You know, like Return of the Jedi. And with the fight over, and Jon kneeling beside Vader, this happened.
It doesn't make sense. And I mean, Jacques only responds to people with a good heart.
Because, Jon, you're a friend. An old friend.
A friend?
Can't you feel it in your heart? You have something one of a kind.
Friend.
Take my mask off, Jon. One last time. Let me look on you with my own eyes.
Arin?
Jon.
What are you doing in a Darth Vader outfit?
I just found it.
Dude, where did you get an Imperial Star Destroyer?
I won it on eBay.
With a surprise that seriously could have set the internet on fire, Arin appeared as Darth Vader, reuniting the original Game Grumps after all this time, with their odd sense of humor still intact.
I have something to tell you.
What is it, Arin?
I'm a poo-poo, pee-pee, fart, diaper, baby, stinky, asshole, doo-doo brain.
Looks like you shouldn't have let me write your lines.
My dad is Adolf Hitler.
Yes, he is, and he will always be.
And as an homage to one of Jon's early videos where he reviewed the Kinect Star Wars game, Jon and Arin ended the video with a dance. If there even was any bad blood between Jon and Arin, this was their way of burying the hatchet, ultimately saying that Jon and Arin win because they realized that friendship is more important. Change is not easily embraced, least of all on the internet. When a beloved personality is replaced, more often than not, it leads to the proverbial end of the show, especially when there's rumors of it having ended on a bad note. And yet, Game Grumps managed to push through. Not only were they able to find a suitable replacement, but they found one that could stand on his own, and has since then helped introduce new fans to the community. Despite some respective low points and the possibility of Jon reappearing on Game Grumps remaining incredibly murky, both JonTron and the Game Grumps have managed to do incredibly well for themselves. If there's anything to be taken away from all this, it's that there's no denying just how amazing it is that so much devotion, so much passion, and so much speculation can come from just a couple of grumps on a couch, laughing and playing video games.
Like, don't you listen back all the time and you're like, what really? I fucking said that?
Oh my God.
There was a time in my life when I said that?
Especially older ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where I'm like, what the fuck even did I say there?
Sometimes I sound like a completely different person, like that JonTron guy. And I'm like, man, my voice was different. Like, God, I've changed a lot since the show started.
I don't even remember playing this game.
What the fuck is Ech? Did I used to do that?
Man, I sure coughed a lot.
Johnny, I love you.